Hello, my name is Narki Norton, and I serve as Assistant Director of Recruitment in the Office of Recruitment and Diversity Initiatives within the Graduate School at the University of Georgia. So I am finishing up the third part of creating events in GradSlate. Part one, we talked about the different resources that exist on our graduate website on how to navigate in the GradSlate system. We discussed option A, and how long it would take to clean data, to clean that original file you have in order to work through 8 different steps to eventually allow that data to be used and imported. We also talked about option B, which is what happens if you create events. We learned in option B, you get to cut all of those steps out between step 1 and step 8 of cleaning data versus creating an event. Our second video discussed what the creating events in GradSlate template looks like, how it previews all required fields and necessary information before you get to this form. This form you should be able to see. And in that last area, we just went through all of these different areas to make sure you knew this aligns exactly with the template we showed, and then how you can upload and submit. The last thing I reminded you of in part 2 of the videos of creating events is what happens once you submit. So I'll receive your information, I'll receive your email. And I'm going to show you, after I've built it in the system, what it would look like for that host who would be transferred ownership. So for this example, I used 2021 Hamilton College Open House for Prospective Students. That's the name of my event. You see in this area, there's a snapshot of what's going on in Slate. Now, I'm only going to highlight what is pertinent and relevant to you in terms of this webinar. If you see buttons and you've noticed that I haven't discussed it, that's because I don't want you to get too lost in the weeds. I just want to focus on when I get your request, you've created that content. Now I'm building that event and what you would see once you own this event. So you see the name, you see the date, you see the template. User, I'm going to change that after I've built this to that host, that person who represents your department or your graduate program. Status confirmed just means that students are able to open the link and register. And then you can see here, registrants, you see space available 49. So I've made a sample registrant, Aaron Burr, and the limitations were 50 registrants. So that means since one person is registered, it's showing you how many spaces are available. We'll talk about these other pieces and parts a little later, but first let's go to the big edit button. So here we've got the details with the name, we have the dates, activation to deadline to start to end. We also have at the bottom, this is where I would change it to the host that you have identified once you submit. And you can see my email here. That means every single person who registers, if you wanted to receive a notification, your email will be there so that you are aware actively and live in terms of who's registering when. You click on that location tab, it has information on location, description, we have the description here. Limitations, you see 50 registrants. You see the message once registration is closed. You see, I don't have a limitation, but I could write 10. Let's say I have technically a space of 65, 70 within a room, a physical room. So let's say I'll allow an extra 10 people to be on a wait list. It's going to automatically transfer those folks to the wait list. And when they are taken off of the wait list and they become a registrant, then they'll get this message below. So those are the pertinent tabs that I wanted to show you. Communication, so this student, once they register and they become a registrant, they're going to have a communication. So I'm going to open up, once again, just focusing on the highlights. You see that I could have a generic email or I can have a specific one. Pick one for your form, have your subject. Once again, this section on your logo and physical address will be updated and changed. And then you have that message in terms of what you want to tell them, what links you may want to include, who you want to reiterate is the contact person. That's going to go to the web page once they finish registering for your event. And then they'll also receive an email notification, which also duplicates that information. So that student has information in two different ways. So going back to this snapshot right here. Let's say you've got a student who has registered for your event. You click on Aaron Burr. You can see when this registration took place. You can see the basic information like contact, academic background, and interest, additional information. So as I mentioned in part 1, by doing events, these fields that are included are required if you were to clean up data in the longer process. However, with option B, doing events, deciding to use events, the fields that this student would fill out, that shows you everything we need, and you no longer have to clean data. You no longer have to follow steps 1 through 8 in the cleaning data webinar. This saves you a lot of time. So let's say as a scenario that this student decided, hey, I'm sorry, I can't make the event. You can cancel registration. Click OK. And notice, I'm going to refresh. Now it says 0 registrants. You have 50 spaces because no one is registered. If you click on the Cancel tab, you see Aaron Burr is here, and it shows the date that Aaron was canceled. Let's say Aaron changed his mind. Click on Aaron, and you go to Restore. Click on OK. And let's refresh. You can already see the name has been moved, but so that our numbers are accurate, there you go. Aaron is restored. So I want to move to this section here. It says status registered, and it says the date. So this is a registrant, once again, once they have completed the form, the event that you're hosting. Let's say your event has concluded. You see launch check-in and launch registration. So we're going to focus on launch check-in. You're going to have this list of Aaron and any others who registered. And what you're going to do is click that box. And notice the status changed to attended. So they are no longer a registrant in the GradSlate system. It shows you that he actually attended the event. For those who didn't, they'll stay as registered. But those who did attend, they will move as attended. So that's all you do if you're doing that. Let's go back to the snapshot area here. You also see the reflection. Let's say we're done. We've gotten all the students we have. We've clicked on all the boxes. Now we're going to show you one last thing. I'm going to click launch, check in again, assuming we had another 10 names. Let's say 7 people attended, 3 were no-shows. So all you do is conclude event. Now, before I click conclude event, this is going to show you a little bit more information. Let's say you had 7 attended, 3 no-shows, but 1 student decided to arrive and they never registered for your event. As you see here, you can click new registration. It'll take you back to that form, and it will allow you as the host to put in their information. Now, worst case scenario, there's no guarantee you'll get all that information from that student, but the system will override and allow you to submit that person's information so that they're at least included in this list. So I've talked to you about what that looks like. Now, let's conclude. We click conclude the event. I press OK. And now we're going to go back to the snapshot. And you will see that we had attendees 1. For those who did not show up at all, there will be a new column that will say no shows, and it will tell you the total of no shows. So once you have actually done the launch check-in and you click conclude event, it automatically tallies your numbers for you so that you don't have to go through and count back and forth. So this is what it looks like to be in our GradSlate system. Once you, the host, have access, you'll be able to see what I see. and you'll be able to know what these numbers look like. And in addition to the conclusion of the event, even while the event is taking place, once again, as an admin, you will be notified every single time a person has registered for the event, if you just wanted to know what those numbers were looking like and what those students were looking like as well. So thank you very much for going through all three parts of creating events in GradSlate. I hope that part one reveals that using events is a really efficient way to cut out a lot of time and make things a little lighter on your side. I hope that part two helped you understand the template that we created, all the fields required before you get to submit the request form. And by going through the request form, it aligned a lot with that template. And then in this part, I really hope that showing you what I see inside and letting you know what is relevant to you and how you would change anything, how you would see the information, and then what these numbers look like in terms of registrants, in terms of space available and attendees. Hopefully this will give you a good insight and some comfortability on mastering GradSlate. Thank you so much. And once again, if you have any questions outside of the webinars, outside of the templates, please do not hesitate to reach out to me at yspnarke, N-A-R-K-E, @uga.edu. Thank you.